Okay. Oh, and my hot flush came also, right?
Oh, me too. So hot there. Yo!
What a way to start this conversation.
You can see.
When I start dripping with sweat, please understand. Good day and welcome to this two-part series. I am Dr. Noluthando. I am super excited to be having this conversation, taking you through the menopause journey. And I am joined by none other than Dr. Judy Smith, who's a gynae oncologist. So I am really super excited. And I think it is really about unpacking this topic and give you information that is scientific, that is evidence-based, that really is going to empower you as you go through this journey. It's going to be a relaxed conversation between two women who understand it very well. The aim of this two-part series is really to unpack this menopause journey, what it's about, when does it actually start, so that women can be actually prepared for it, because I don't think our mothers prepared us well enough for what we're going through. So maybe as a start, let's start by just unpacking this menopause journey, because it starts way before you hit menopause. So let's maybe do some background definitions around perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause.
So I think what's also important to note is that we're unique. And in fact, as far as we know, it's only us in the mammal kingdom and whales that go through this process. So all of us are born with a certain amount of eggs, and those eggs, men make testosterone for life. Women are born with a certain number of eggs, and when we are born, we have no periods, we go through puberty, and then we reach our reproductive stage. So when we're in our reproductive stage, we're getting regular periods, we're making estrogen and progesterone and a little bit of testosterone. Those are hormones. So that process, you don't go from hero to zero overnight. And we know that in your 40s, we start becoming, well, generally, the majority of women, remember, it can occur early in some women, but the majority of women from their 40s, they become what is called perimenopausal. So peri, a roundabout, and the word menopause actually means your last menstrual period ever. That's just what the word means. So if you're still getting periods, you are not menopausal. You are perimenopausal. So in perimenopause, it can take 2 to 9 years. It's a long time. Or it could take 6 months. Each person is an individual. So the periods start becoming irregular, the time span between them, and then they start changing. They get shorter, longer, but it's important that women mustn't put everything down to menopause. So perimenopause means around the time, and menopause means your final menstrual period.
So in your 40s, you start changing, your periods change, and women are like, there are so many things that are happening to my body. I don't know what's going on. Besides the fact that your periods can be there for a long period of time, or the frequency can also change and all of that. So when do you know?
So if you are on a combined oral contraceptive, so that means a contraceptive that contains estrogen and progesterone, you can't really be perimenopausal. You won't know because you are getting hormones. So you will be getting the same amount of hormones every day, except when you take those so-called smarty pills, the placebos. So those women on contraception won't really know when they are perimenopausal. But women who are not on contraceptives, you can start with the odd hot flush.
So let's help the people who are watching Trudy, because they'll be like, what does she mean?
So what happens in the perimenopause is the estrogen starts to swing. So that's what gives you symptoms. Sometimes you have a high estrogen, sometimes you have a low estrogen, sometimes you have a hot flush, sometimes you don't. Sometimes the boobs start to get tender. And when the boobs are tender, it's usually when the estrogen is high. And then the hot flushes go away. But then it suddenly drops. Whereas when we are younger in our reproductive age, that cycle is a gradual cycle. Now we've come to our perimenopause and it's like this. And the same happens to our emotions. So, like we said, the word menopause means your final menstrual period. So, if you were on a combined contraceptive, we would usually stop that combined contraceptive round about 50, 51. But you have to take extra precautions because you may not be menopausal. And that's when that 50-year-old baby, that baby comes when you're 50, not a good idea.
Yes.
So if you're going to stop combined contraceptive to see if you're menopausal, your practitioner, or you might stop it, you take extra contraceptive, and then you see if you still get periods. So the word menopause means when you haven't had a period for a whole year, then you are classified as menopausal.
So when you are perimenopausal, what are some of the symptoms that most women will experience? I know it's a long list, but I think the important ones, let's just maybe focus on the important ones and also the ones that, will then continue during menopause and postmenopause.
So let's start with the commonest. The first thing is that not everybody has symptoms. We need to know that. And everybody's symptoms are difficult. And in fact, we can perhaps at some stage talk about menopause in the workplace. But let's start with our commonest symptom is a hot flush, or it's called a hot flash, or it's called sweating. But we call it a hot flush. So when you are perimenopausal, it often starts at night. So generally in the evenings or at night, and sometimes it's triggered by food. So for instance, alcohol can make you flush. A hot curry can make you flush. So we know certain cheeses like yellow cheese can make you flush. So food is also important. So a healthy diet, a Mediterranean diet, is a good diet round about the perimenopause. It decreases hot flushes. So hot flush at night, waking up at night. So generally you go to sleep, 2:00 in the morning, boing, wide awake. That often is the perimenopause. Then you start schwitzing during the day. A hot flush during the day comes at random times. Usually it starts at the chest and goes up. And then you see some people sweat behind the neck. Their hair starts to stick to them. You're very lucky. The hair starts to stick to them. And so those kind of things are the first things that happen in the perimenopause. Also mood swings. We might start forgetting where we put our keys. So we call that brain fog. That we've forgotten, the words don't quite come out as easily.
Forget people's names, Trudy. You look
People's
at somebody
names. I know that person. Where do I know them?
Wow.
Yeah. So those are all the symptoms from the fluctuations that we start getting. And then you get uncommon ones: bloating, breast tenderness, tingling under the skin. Some women get funny skin sensation, tingling. Weight gain, the change in your body shape is it's inevitable, guys. It's life. Our body shapes change when we reach the menopause. So it's often a gradual process, but we also have to talk about those women who have a surgical menopause.
You have not touched on very important parts of this transition that impact relationships.
Relationships are key, and I think we should have and make a concerted process to educate our menfolk as well about this process, because your relationships do change. You change. You are different. Your body is different, and your libido might decrease at this time, and that needs to be addressed. Intercourse might start to become uncomfortable, particularly in the post-menopausal women. We have a thing called genitourinary syndrome. And that's where the vagina gets dry. We start having to go to the loo all the time, every 5 minutes. Our partner's driving us to Durban and we want to stop at every garage because we need to piddle all the time. Those are all symptoms of genitourinary syndrome. So we've concentrated a lot on the perimenopause, then the menopause when our last period was, and shortly after. Then we go into postmenopause and later. So estrogen is important for bones. So it keeps your bones strong. And we know that women between the ages of 45 and 50, that's when you really have to start, exercising, make sure you maintain your bone health, because after that, your bone declines because of your lack of estrogen. And I think also what we haven't said right at the beginning is menopause is natural. It is going to happen.
The life stage.
Every single one of us. When somebody comes to me and says, my hormones, I don't have any hormones. I go, thank goodness, that means you're normal. That is a normal process that we go through. But yes, hormones are important, but it's all about maintaining good brain health, not smoking, exercising, keeping up with friends, learning a new language, those kind of things. So
I think we've come to the end of the first part, because this was the part where we really unpack what perimenopause is, what menopause is, what postmenopause is, and also what we can expect during this time. In our second part, we'll be discussing exactly how to then manage what we've already discussed as some of the symptoms and signs that people will experience during these phases. So thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to engaging again in the next in part 2 of our series.